Well, Jeremy Pena was nominated for a Silver Slugger award. He's one of the guys that will be back, and a lot of fans are wondering, will he get an extension? Let's look at this roster and where do they compare? Where do they sit when it comes to the gold standard teams right now currently in Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays and the Dodgers? We'll talk right now.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talks Astros. You can find Brett at H-Town Wheelhouse. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. Between Brett and I, we have over 18 years of podcasting experience. So go and make us your first listen all off season long. We'll be here whether there's a move, any type of additions, because as we're going to talk about in a little bit, the state of the Astros does not compare to where the Dodgers and the Blue Jays are. It hurts us to say that, but they have some room to grow. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So on Friday, Jeremy Pena was nominated for a Silver Slugger, but he's got some competition. We're going to talk about who that competition is, and I know that he's a big piece to what the Astros did in 2025. Is he going to have to continue to grow to get this team to where the Astros need to be, which is back to the World Series, like we see the Blue Jays and Dodgers battling right now? And how do the Astros roster compare? And the big thing I'm seeing is the difference in the pitching for the Astros and the other two teams. So we'll talk about this. And hey, the Texans got to win. So happy Sunday, Brett.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was good to watch the Texans not cough up a victory or embarrass themselves on national TV. They turned it around and was 500 yards total offense. So you got to love that. Woody Marks looked every bit of a star rookie running back in that number 27 black H-Town jersey with the, H-Town blue logo on the side, which is pretty nice. But look, man, Jeremy Pena, he's up for a Silver Slugger and came back. A lot of people were bemoaning his lack of production. They were wondering where the 2022 Jeremy Pena went to and what happened to him. And he came out. He's a Silver Slugger award finalist for 2025. Now, it's interesting. When people come to the show, they look at the title and they're like, wait, but you're not saying you're depending on just Jeremy Pena to win a World Series, are you?
Absolutely
no, that's not
not
what we're saying. But what we're saying is, will a World Series be built on the back of someone like Jeremy Pena with Hunter Brown in the mix? Who will they go out and get in the offseason? Who will they bring on this pitching staff? Jose Altuve, what part will he play? Carlos Correa, what part will he play? But with a guy like Jeremy Pena, I think surging upward and in a positive direction, he's got to be someone that you have to look at to hopefully be able to keep here long term, because not only can he get it done with the bat, but he can get it done with the glove. With Carlos Correa back in the mix, he's going to be staying at third base because he said he likes playing third base. It's actually a lot less stressful on his body and a lot easier for him with all the injuries he's had. So it looks like we'll probably have a Paredes at second, Jeremy Pena at short, and Carlos at third, unless they do something with, Paredes or one of those guys. But I think all is well with JP3. La Tormenta, he's going to continue to be a thorn in the side of opponents, I think, for the next few years.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know that Bobby Witt Jr. and Bo Bichette were coming off bad seasons in fantasy baseball. In 2024, if you were to pick these guys up, you probably cashed in on the rewards, probably went to a title, because Bobby Witt had one of the highest WARs in American League. He had an 8.0 WAR. This year he had a 295 average, 23 home runs, 88 RBIs. But overall, He had more power, slightly lower average than Jeremy Pena, and strong run creation overall. But Bo Bichette, even though he missed the later part of the season, I know that Jeremy Pena did as well. Parts of it, he had a pretty good season overall. I believe 18 home runs, 94 RBIs. But Jeremy Pena, he had a 5.7 WAR, and Bo Bichette had a 3.8 WAR. So if you're looking overall, what Jeremy Pena did at 304 batting average, 17 home runs, 62 RBIs. So Jeremy Pena did what he can do, what he was capable of. And I would say that with all the lack of production from Alvarez throughout the season, he was probably the most consistent hitter, especially once you moved him to the leadoff spot. I know that somebody said, well, they finally listened to fans, moved him to the leadoff spot. I don't think anybody saw him being as successful as he was as the leadoff guy. So the whole point of the title is if he continues to grow and the rest of the guys either A, get healthy or do what that they're supposed to do, Christian Walker, this team could be a force to be reckoned with. But I don't think that Pena is going to beat out Bobby Witt Jr. for this award.
Yeah. I mean, what did Bobby Witt Jr. do overall versus Jeremy Pena? I mean, what were his total numbers on the season? I've got to look that up because I don't know.
23 home runs. I believe it was 295 batting average.
Okay, I see it.
Home runs, something like that.
OPS plus a 136.
Yeah.
Do you know what Pena's OPS plus was?
It was 104, I believe, or no, something.
It was actually 132 for his OPS plus. So he he had an OPS plus of 132 and OPS of 840. 852 OPS and 136 OPS plus for Bobby Witt Jr. Now, when you look at the slugging percentage, which is, I think, really important, 501 slugging percentage versus 477. If they're going to go strictly off of metrics and literal stats, then obviously Bobby Witt Jr. is gonna edge him with, I mean, he does have a slight lower average by 9 points, but he's got 23 home runs, 184 hits. You know, look, both exceptional at what they do. I mean, they're both really good shortstops. They're both very good defensively. They're both very good offensively. So right now, I don't think it's a bad thing to say that Pena and Bobby Witt Jr. pretty much are maybe 1 and 1A in this. I think Bichette, if he stays in the entire season, is probably the shoe-in favorite just because he's so great. And then if you saw what he did the other night, literally his first at bat in a World Series, he hadn't swung a bat in a real game in 49 days. He gets a hit in the World Series. Just something that you absolutely love to see for a kid that's been dealing with injuries. But, you know, Jeremy Pena, will they give it to him? I don't know. I know fans tend to think of every team that they hate our team or they won't pick our team. But all the little statistical lines that I'm looking, Bobby Witt edges him out just a little bit. But I don't know. Will Jeremy Pena and what he did slide into the leadoff spot be enough to sway the voters?
I know that Corbin says that Bobby Witt is obviously a dog and had better second half, but let's be real, there's no way. And heck, he would say that JP3 was better than Bobby Witt Jr. this year. And I agree with that. Bobby Witt Jr. Overall, if you're looking at Baseball Reference, they have this offensive metric. Bobby Witt Jr. had a 31.5, Jeremy Pena had a 26.8, and Bo Bichette had a 21.7. So if you don't want to look at WAR, you don't want to look at everything else that Brett just said, it's crazy just to think how good Bobby Witt Jr. is. He's probably one of the best 5 hitters in the American League. And so, unfortunately, Jeremy Pena is playing the wrong position, and I think that he is not going to get this. But the fact that he's nominated once again, and the fact that he is actually he had this growth in the time that the Astros needed him. That's the biggest thing I want to harp on, is the fact that in the season where the Astros were down offensively, he was the the consistent guy that was, especially once he moved to the leadoff spot. So my question is, Brett, we'll go ahead and continue this conversation next, but do the Astros have a team? We're watching the World Series right now. It's tied right now, 1-1 in the series. Game 3 tomorrow. Do the Astros even have a team with Framber Valdez possibly leaving that could compete with these two teams next year? I'm not so sure. So we'll go and talk about this next on the Locked On Astros podcast.
We thank y'all for stopping into Locked On Astros. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This is an ironic ad read. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlays or a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. Unless you're on that team, don't bet. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. I know Supreme Panda asked, do we know if Jeremy Pena is going to get extended this offseason? Who knows? We want him to. I think that this would be a perfect time for the Astros to say, hey, we're tired of losing these players. Yes, we get draft picks if they don't accept the qualifying offers down the road, but I just think that maybe they're going to look at it and see. So somebody said that that Jeremy Pena had the second highest WAR behind Aaron Judge. That's not entirely correct. I don't think so. I'm looking up right now. So if you're looking at what happened because of the missed time, you got to look at it like this. So I'm looking at FanGraph. Aaron Judge had a 10.1 WAR. Cal Riley had a 9.1 WAR. Bobby Witt Jr. had an 8.0 WAR. Then Tariq Skubal, but we're not talking about pitchers. Jose Ramirez, 6.3. Julio Rodriguez had 5.7. And Jeremy Pena, 5.7. So, yes, for a while there, Jeremy Pena was pacing with Aaron Judge, but he did miss some time. So you have to take that in consideration. So, and plus, Cal Riley had that huge season, so you're not going to keep up with that type of stats. And Bobby Witt Jr. had the huge second half, so I think
Bobby Witt was a 7.1 WAR by the end of the season.
Well, it depends on like different stats. So if you're looking at Baseball Reference, they might have 7.1, but FanGraphs I'm looking at right here is 8.0. So it's weird. But if you're looking at offense, maybe offense is a
maybe it's an offensive WAR stat. Yeah. So look, the bottom line is this: Jeremy Pena is very good. Jeremy Pena is one of the best at his position in the league, and so you have him. You're losing Framber Valdez. The question of comparing our roster to the other two rosters. Now, before we get too far into the show, and before we get people thinking we're drinking Astros Kool-Aid. We're not saying that the Houston Astros are better than the two teams in the World Series, because they're absolutely not. They missed the playoffs. So that really is the ultimate marker. Do you even make the playoffs? Well, if you're going by regular season, the Astros actually beat up on both of these teams, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. The Dodgers, they swept them. They put a pretty dominant beat down. Now, with the Astros of today, hold on one second. Oh, hey,
I believe it was like a 5-2 record versus those two teams overall. But definitely it was something where you swept the Dodgers, then you played the Blue Jays really well. You outscored them. It was a very high difference there. But I'm not talking about the regular season. I'm talking about just, let's say the Astros did make it to the playoffs this year. Could their pitching have stacked up against the teams that are in there right now? Because the Dodgers rotation is stacked. You've got the Blue Jays rotation. It's pretty much stacked. You've got a guy who's pitching basically against Rice last year, and now he's pitching against the Dodgers in the World Series. And Savage.
Right. Well, so coming into this, I gave the Dodgers the advantage in the starting pitching department, and Yamamoto just put together one of the greatest World Series pitching performances that I've ever seen. Just was locked in and was a bend don't break performance. And what the Dodgers have done is now their starting pitching, I think, is 8-2 in the postseason, Eric. They've got an ERA under 2, and they have stayed away from their bullpen. Now, outside of Sasaki, they have a shaky bullpen, but they've depended on their starters, where most teams depend on their bullpen because the starters don't go 7 innings. The Dodgers have flipped the script, and Blake Snell. That's why it was surprising that the Dodgers got beat the way they did, that the Blue Jays won the way they did, because Blake Snell has been absolutely a force in that rotation. Flip the script flip sides to the Blue Jays. They got you Savage, a rookie. I don't know, like up and down. He's got great stuff. He's broken records, but they've got him. They've got Gausman. They've got Bassett, who they've been using mainly as a relief pitcher. They have Bieber, and then they have Max Scherzer. They've got some good names in there, but when you look at the Astros starting rotation, and if you include Framber Valdez, you include Hunter Brown from 2025. If you include a healthy Spencer Arrighetti, maybe you get to kind of comparing them. But where the Astros are now, they don't really have a starting rotation. I mean, you got Jason Alexander, who was great, who knows how to pull the string on guys and get them off balance. But this team, obviously, they were not built for this. They were built for missing the playoffs.
They're built for something.
Apparently they were built for failure because they didn't make it. Outside of the injuries, they had guys like Christian Walker. Just even though he had 25 home runs, saying like touting his 20 something home runs is like being excited that the Texans only lost by 7 or 8 points to the Seahawks when the game was a lot worse than that. Like the end score, the end stats don't always tell the whole story. I think there's a lot of pressure on Walker next year to perform, but if we're comparing rosters or we're comparing rotations, I don't think the Astros are there. I mean, the Astros have got to add some stuff before they can get themselves back in that talk.
I think the Dodgers definitely have a better rotation than the Blue Jays or the Astros right now. And I would say that just right now, because the Astros rotation is kind of in flux, if you're including Framber Valdez, maybe it's on par with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have a dynamic offense, especially with George Springer, who's getting hit. Like he's being targeted by the 2017ers. Let's just call him that.
He's also getting targeted by the pitchers too. Let's not. That's what I
mean. The 2017ers. I know that the guys that are throwing at him have nothing to do with him, but other teams are still saying that it's because of what happened in 2017 and everything. So
no, you know what? I don't know. Like. I see all the scuttlebutt about, they're hitting Springer. And what is hilarious to me is not all Dodgers fans, some Dodgers fans, disingenuous baseball fans, I call them, are talking about how, well, George Springer knows what pitch is coming. And, you would think that the reigning world champs fan base would not be so upset with 2017, but rather being the first team to win back-to-back World Series since 2000. I mean, since the Yankees did it, really, we haven't seen that happen. So, but they just cannot get the Houston Astros out of their mouth.
You would think that the Yankees would be more upset than the Dodgers were. The Dodgers got not only one World Series, but they won one last year. It's just like, you got it. Let it go. Let it go.
The Yankees still haven't won anything since 2009.
It's just crazy just how the Yankees drought has been, and the Red Sox, even though that they cheated at the same time, it just let it go. just move on. And I was trying to explain it to
nobody mentions the Reds. Nobody mentions the Red Sox 2018. Nobody.
I was even mentioning it to my stepdaughter the other day, what happened back in 2017. And she's like, 2017? That was so long ago. Just get over it. And I just kind of wish people would, but
they won't. They're petty. People are petty.
We'll have to go ahead and continue this conversation about where the Astros rank compared to the other teams, because they've got a lot to do this offseason. Dana Brown can't just sit on his hands and not make any moves, because this team is not World Series ready.
Well, this episode today is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. The NBA season is NBA season is here. So is the NFL. And honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. So let's be honest, getting tickets can be the hassle between queues, login screens, and price jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I guarantee that if you do what I do and pull the Game Time app and look at just any NFL game across the league, you can find tickets as low as $100. You'll love the zone deals like I've used going to Astros games, Rockets games, and Texans games as well. Pick the selection. Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets. So download the Game Time app today and create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go down Game Time today.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. So I know that every team has a slogan every year. This year is built for it. So I think this year it's got to be get back to the World Series. I know it's not going to be that. It's going to be something a little bit more vague, but that's got to be the Astros' goal, is get back to the World Series, and not just get there, but get there and win. But right now, of course, the Dodgers with Shohei Ohtani, not only just hitting the way he's doing, but also pitching the way he's going. He's probably the best player in the game right now. I think that it's going to be hard. The Astros can't compete with that type of one-way player or two-way player. But I think with the Blue Jays, they have Vladimir Guerrero. Then George Springer is back to being the type of guy that he is. But can the Astros build a roster that can compete with these type teams? Not just the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, but that's a conversation we're having right now. I don't think, Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think outside of adding maybe an offensive backup catcher and maybe go out and get a big bat, I still don't think they're going to do that. Maybe put at a DH spot. I don't see them doing much offensively this offseason.
No, the focus will be on health of the players who you have. Yordan Alvarez, right. He needs to play at least 140 next year. He needs to dispel the rumors that he's made of glass. And the only way he can do that is by playing. You're going to have to go out and get an arm. You're going to have to go out and get a Ranger Suarez, a Dylan Cease, someone like that to bolster this rotation. You can go out and get some bullpen arms. You can go out and get a bat. I think you non-tender Sanchez, because he's probably not going to have much success here. Didn't look like it when he came over from Miami. So you definitely can't depend on that. Going forward, it's going to be interesting to see where they prioritize their spending and what kind of spending they do go into, because if they don't, then they are absolutely going to find themselves in a deeper hole. What they want to do is they want to get back to not just winning and being one game out. They want to be winning and being back in the playoffs. And it looks like Seattle's going to be back with who they have. Oakland, look, I'm still not buying into the hope of Oakland, into the hype of Oakland. I still don't think they're a team to compete.
They still need a pitching staff, Brett. I think their
Yeah.
offense is going to be good for many years. The
Right.
A's.
What I'm saying is they're not there. The Rangers, who knows? Who knows the state of the Rangers? But at the end of the day, you just got to look in house. I mean, there are so many question marks right now. Like, I don't even know where to start. There are guys that probably aren't going to be on this roster anymore. Guys like Chas McCormick, I don't think survives on the roster. If he does, where does he play? Because he's not getting hardly any playing time right now. I think Mauricio Dubon stays because he won't be expensive to keep. He's up for a second Gold Glove in 3 years, and he's a guy that you can depend on to put anywhere. And we see injuries do absolutely happen. So in the past, the Houston Astros have let guys walk. They haven't signed them, and that's where a lot of fans are right now. They are pessimistic. They're worried. Some even in here are think that Dana Brown won't do anything, which I think is total hyperbole, because he literally did something that he's never done before, that no GM has done before. We traded a player and got 3 in return. And yes, one of them had Tommy John. One of them was a rookie and got hot and didn't perform as well. But the other one, Paredes, had he not dealt with an injury, you're talking about your best offensive player on this roster in 2025. So there are some things that I think we can look forward to. Dana Brown, the way he's going to restock this farm system is just by drafting. I mean, who are we going to trade that has value? Paredes? I mean, we can trade him, but you don't get draft capital for that. This isn't the NFL. So at the end of the day, the Astros just have to go out there. And like Mauricio Dubon said, their goal every year is to win a World Series. And when they don't, they basically feel like they failed. So every year that doesn't end in going to the World Series and winning it is a failure. And that's the kind of expectations that they have.
Well, Chris Reyes brought up my next point. Let me bring it right here. Mariners could be losing Polanco, Suarez, and Naylor because we forget. I think a lot of people forget that both teams were struggling offensively for most of the year. So the Mariners, they went for it. They got to the postseason because they went out and got somebody that finished the season with a 126 OPS plus, batting 228. Yes, that sucks, but he had 49 home runs, 118 RBIs. But this guy is now a free agent. He's probably going to make a lot of money. Jorge Polanco is a guy that Dana Brown kicked the tires on last year, but he ended up signing a pretty reasonable deal to go back to Seattle. And then Naylor was another guy that they traded for. So they seriously upgraded their offense. Their pitching struggled the beginning year, but they got better. So the Mariners did what they're supposed to do. The Astros, yes, they did go get Carlos Correa. They felt that they needed leadership, but Carlos Correa is not Suarez. He's not somebody that you can really compare side by side. And then you've got a couple other guys that were basically platoon players, and Jesus Sanchez, and also what's the other guy's name? I can't think of it right now. Ramon Urias.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So those guys didn't really play a big role. Correa, I think, is going to be a big factor on this team, but they didn't really upgrade as much as the Mariners did. So I'm not saying that the Mariners really won the trade deadline over the Astros, but on paper, as of right now, I'm going to say yes, because they got to the playoffs.
Yeah, so, they absolutely won the trade
but
deadline.
We don't know what's going to happen next year. That's why I say, because Carlos Correa could be this megastar again for Houston Astros. Yeah.
That's two different conversations. Did they win the trade deadline in 2025? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't talk about the 25 trade deadline in 26. You don't move the goalposts in 26.
The Astros have control of these guys.
What I'm saying is, the trade deadline, the way you grade trade deadlines is you grade for that season.
I know exactly what you're saying, Brett. Okay. I'm just saying that the Astros have control of these guys, but The Mariners took the risky moves and they paid off. And the Astros
they paid off
did
huge.
what
And
they
I mean,
did.
Jorge
They-
Polanco, who was a postseason hero, was coming to Houston until the Mariners came in with a counteroffer, and they didn't overpay beyond what the Astros offered him by much, but he took it. And I mean, he was one of the differences. Now, even if the Astros make it in the playoffs, Eric, I think this team was very flawed. I think they were very anemic offensively, and I don't think they would have gone past the ALDS. I just, the way that I saw the Blue Jays performing, the way I honestly, when the Mariners won those first two games in the ALCS, I was like, this is done. Like, they're going to finish it in Seattle. And then the Blue Jays woke up, and then I'm like, okay, now you got a World Series. You got a very intriguing World Series going on right now, where it's tied 1-1, and all the Blue Jays have to do is win one game in LA, bring it back to Canada, bring it back to Toronto, and like, my money's on the Blue Jays. I think if it's a long series, I think the Blue Jays win in 7. If it's a short series, I think the Dodgers take care of business in LA. And I think they win 4-1. I think if the Dodgers are going to win, they got to sweep these next 3 games. If they don't sweep the next 3 games and it goes back to Toronto, I predicted Blue Jays in 7. But with that being said, Caratini, Yainer Diaz, Yainer Diaz has got to take a step forward. Yainer Diaz, he is a big, he's a big fan of ours. I'm a big fan of his. I want nothing but success for this guy, but his pop time has got to help. And I don't know if you saw, but the Blue Jays hitting coaches changed, and they changed the philosophy, and they changed the way they attacked hitting. And I was told all year that hitting coaches don't matter, but the hitting coaches mattered in Toronto, and we haven't heard anything about that. What's going to change? Who are they going to bring in to be the hitting coaches for the Houston Astros this year? And it's funny, I tweeted something out about that, and Elvis Rodriguez, former Astros hitting coach, put a little side eye emoji. And I was like, wait, what does this mean? So I text him like, what does this mean? And so I'm not saying Elvis Rodriguez is coming back, but it was just funny that he kind of put that when I posted that talking about the Astros. So who are they going to go get? Are they going to go rehire some people that used to be in the organization? I mean, time will tell.
To complete my thought from earlier, the Mariners went out and took the risk, is what I was trying to say. And the Astros did what they typically do, is they go get the controllable players, and they didn't go out and just trade the farm. And so I think, yes, until the Astros really change their philosophy and what they're trying to do, yes, they've won the World Series in the past, but I think with the way the state of the team is, with everybody's getting older, I just think that the team needed a big offensive lift this year. They almost got there with what they had, but Carlos Correa was not enough. They needed something bigger. The Mariners, give them credit, they did what it took. They didn't get to the World Series. Unfortunately, George Springer broke them down again, but they got to where they wanted to be, the playoffs, and they took a risk. And I just think that the Astros are just set in their ways. I know that, like you said, they traded away Kyle Tucker. They kind of got out of the way that they do things. So maybe Dana Brown, maybe the Astros will kind of get out of their own way.
Yeah, but you have to, because now you got 12 years of controllability. Kyle Tucker's not going back to Chicago. So we did get those controllable years, like you were saying, and that's a good thing. And I had someone arguing with me the other day saying that didn't matter. But calling Jim Crane a mini Jerry Jones completely doesn't make any sense. Okay. Number 2, saying Dana Brown's horrible at his job. I mean, guys, really, honestly, I promise you those two things are not true. Jim Crane, we got a top 5 payroll. I mean, he paid players, they didn't perform. When a player doesn't perform and you pay him, what is all of a sudden the owner's fault because a player doesn't perform? At what point do we put it on the players? And someone in here says, well, if Joe Espada would just stand up to the front office and do what? What is Joe Espada going to stand up against? What is he standing up against? Like, what? Come on, guys. Like, some of this is disconnected. It's called the waiting period. It's a tough time of the baseball season because there's not enough going on. But I tell you this, whenever we hear about the hitting coaches coming, getting hired, we'll let you know. We'll be with y'all off season. If we can wrangle some more player interviews, we'll definitely do that. So I'm always on the prowl. So I'm always looking. There's always possibilities out there. So thank y'all for tuning in today. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the interaction on here. Even if I disagree with you, I appreciate you being on the show because y'all make the show better.
All right, guys. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Go and check out the MLT tonight throughout the off season on the MLB. Sorry, what am I trying to say? The show that goes on with all the different shows. The MLB tonight on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's just going to be throughout the whole World Series. Go ahead and check it out and go ahead and look to see what's going on. And we'll go ahead and talk about the Astros all off season, like Brett said. Go and make his first listen. And we will see you tomorrow. And go Stros.
Go Stros.